A lot of time, again, when you read about Africa, you see all this negative news. Well, there are negative news everywhere else. And sometimes, even a lot of people that write or say negative things about Africa, 330s or whatever aircraft that comes into Africa today, majority of them are more than 50% non-Africans.
Yeah.
So if the continent is that bad, what are they coming here to do? And unfortunately, a lot of our own children live globally and scared to come home.
Yeah.
So the home you're scared of that actually belongs to you is what somebody else is coming in.
Everybody else envies it. They want to come.
And getting the best of it.
Yeah.
I mean, from our vegetation to our safari to all the God-given beauty, to the waters, to the beauty, to the shores, all the beauty of Africa, people come to see them. The first thing we need to do, we need to make friends and talk more. Understand what we both have. We all have challenges.
Yes.
We all have bad roads. You probably could get easily killed in New York or London, bad neighborhood in London, quicker than you can be killed in Nairobi.
It's true.
So if you're not careful, somebody says, do you want to go to New York? Yeah, I want to go to New York. You want to go to Nairobi? Oh, no, I don't want to go to Nairobi. So it's because you don't know.
Yeah.
We have your Davidos, your Burna Boy, your Wizkid, basically running the world now.
Yeah.
Do we have a cohesive strategy on the continent to maximize that?
Not yet.
To groom more people behind them, to sustain that.
Yeah.
You would go to the Nollywood. Yes, Nollywood people like in Nigerian movies, but are we capitalizing on it? Are we helping them grow? Are we using them to pick up other actors within the continent and take that industry, the creative industry, in a heavy way, where it becomes a forex power onto the continent? Look at Western sports today, European League, Serie A, La Liga, US, all these Africans playing in there.
Yes.
What are we getting back into development? So a lot of those things are needed to happen. So the name FESTAC is actually back.
Yes.
We've done it 3 years consecutively.
Yes.
It's not going anywhere.
Yes.
It's going to be the biggest platform to either grow your business in Africa or bring your business to Africa because it's a language we all speak.
Absolutely.
And it's time for Africa to take its place in the world. I'm an African. I don't like to talk about Africa as the future. Africa is not the future.
It's already here.
Africa is now.
Yes.
No, I don't want to be future.
Yeah.
And even when you look at these Africa 2063.
Yeah. Greetings, our viewers. Welcome to Diaspora Point. This is your host, Auma Bella. Today, we have a great phenomenal guest. The gentleman is an amazing man who has Africa beating in his chest. His heart is Africa. And before I introduce him, let me ask you, dear viewers, please do subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and share our program widely. And now to our guest, Mr. Yinka Abioye. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Karibu, Engineer Yinka Abioye.
Thank you.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your work. Tell us about your passion now, before that, and what plans you have for the future.
Wow. Where do I start? As you have said, the name is Yinka Abioye. I was born in Nigeria so many moons ago. I guess in terms of what I've done, I actually started out as a young man with a dream of trying to design a car that when the car is moving and there is traffic, the car will just get off the floor and fly. So that was my dream. That was the main thing I had wished to accomplish in my life. After so many years of primary and secondary education, I went to the US a little over 40 years ago, still with the dream. But when I got to the US, I fell in love with chemistry. So I moved from trying to design a car to trying to design chemicals. So I lost that, and I guess I'm glad that the guys in AI and all those things today are having cars that fly. So
Yes.
I guess my dream was accomplished, although I was not the one that did the design for that.
Yes.
But while in the US and getting involved in chemistry, I was able to excel very well in chemistry, especially as a topic that was very difficult when I was back home. And so I did a lot in chemistry. So I worked in pharmaceuticals, petrocatalysts, petrochemicals, oil and gas, and on and on and on.
Wow.
About 30 years ago, the company I worked for decided to move me back to Africa to do work. And then coming into Africa and working on behalf of the organization in Africa, the passion for a better Africa was developed.
Great.
I have been fortunate. Actually, my title back then was Training and Development Manager for Africa Middle East.
Wow.
Which meant I had a chance to see most of the countries on the continent, not the big cities, but also the small villages.
Yeah.
So having gotten a chance to probably visit 80+% of the African countries, and I speak some bad French too. So
your French is actually pretty good.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. So I've been able to see the beauty and the value of the continent, and just looking around and saying, what value can I add to the continent? So after retirement, I just took it upon myself to say, let me contribute to a better Africa.
Great.
And the next thing is, how do you contribute to a better Africa? Okay, so I lost the power of making the cars that fly. And maybe Africa doesn't even need that now that other people are doing it. We need to fix the roads first.
Yes.
But beyond that, what other things does the continent need? In my job, I was the what they call the CEO of the company in a few countries like Senegal and all those companies countries back then in the early 2000s, late 1990s. But having been around, what stood out to me was the need for the average African person to be sure of himself and using that to propel into being successful.
Yes.
A lot of us went to school abroad, and in the classrooms, we were always getting distinctions.
Yes.
So we have Africans that are the cum laude, they did this and 4.0 over 4.0.
Yes.
But when they come back home to apply what they've learned to apply, we are not as successful.
That's true.
As we are in the classroom. So it drove me to say our need is not the fact that we don't have the brain. What we don't have is the execution.
Absolutely.
And that execution comes from self-assurance, self-belief, self-discipline, controls, and a lot of those things that makes us better.
And may I add that, not to interrupt you, but may I add that we also need enabling environment. And I'm sure you are coming to that because that's where leadership also comes in. But please
I will get to that.
Yes.
So, since you brought it up, let me even throw that in now because I think it's critical. With all respect to most of our leaders, we have actually been bedeviled with poor leadership.
Yeah, that's true.
On the continent, because I don't know how I could be leading a group of people for 12, 13, 14 years. And the same problem is there every day.
Getting worse.
And it doesn't bother me. So that in itself, we can all talk about, well, we don't have enough money, we have a population, we have this, we have that. All those things are just weak excuses.
Yeah.
There was a map a friend shared with me.
Yeah.
The population of India is about 1.2 billion. China is about 1.2 billion. US is about 350 million. And Africa is about equal to China or India. And the geography size of all these, your India, your China, your US, your Europe can fit inside Africa. And our population is equal to just one of them, whether India or China. So if anyone sits back and blame our problem on overpopulation, it's just an excuse.
No.
We have the land, we have the youth. We need to give enabling environment for them to be successful. So all these other things are just excuses for failure.
Yeah.
We have the minerals, we have the oil, we have the arable lands, we have the youth energy, we have a lot of big brain. And physically, God actually given us a lot of advantage even in sports,
Yeah.
in creative arts.
Yeah.
And the list goes on.
Yeah.
So any excuses to say we have these challenges, to me is an
And
excuse.
speaking of brains,
Yes.
I went to two very good universities in the US, one in the south, one in the north.
Okay.
And one Ivy League-ish and one regular but very good state university.
Okay.
Not just me, but I watched me and other African students top of that class. All those classes, all those years, African students top.
Correct.
So our brain is mega brain.
Correct.
It's big, good brain.
Correct.
We just need that enabling environment, to your point.
When we come back home to execute.
Yes.
So going around the continent, I said, well, what the continent needs are children, because to me, self-assurance is very critical. When you are self-assured, you want to perform well. When you are self-assured, you know it's a shame for you to steal or do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because your pride will not let you do certain things.
Yes.
So to me, the awareness of who you are becomes a big part of the foundation for success.
Yes.
So I sat back and I said, what can I contribute to Africa?
Yes.
And in my times of being alone, I said, well, what we need to do is to come back to basics and know who we are and be proud of who we are. So I sat back and I said, what are the things we can create? Well, number one, a lot of people, if you go today and you go on the internet and you type any of our countries, you read nothing but negative news. Mm-hmm. Now, all those negative news also are also in the Americas or in Europe. So we all have the goods and the bads. But if we're not careful, a lot of time we focus on the negatives. So we're not getting anywhere with it. So that was the number one thing that I said, okay, there needs to be positivity. Because that, if you sit back or you wake up in the morning and you are not proud of your own house, how can you be successful?
You can't.
So firstly, you need to be proud of yourself. So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
The number two is that a lot of time, again, when you read about Africa, you see all this negative news. Well, there are negative news everywhere else. And sometimes, even a lot of people that write or say negative things about Africa, if you look at the aircraft, your average 747 or Boeing 777 or your 330s or whatever aircraft that comes into Africa today, majority of them are more than 50% non-Africans.
Yeah.
So if the continent is that bad,
mm-hmm.
what are they coming here to do?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, a lot of our own children live globally and scared to come home.
Yeah. So
the home you're scared of that actually belongs to you is what somebody else is coming in.
Everybody else envies it. They want to come.
And getting the best of it.
Yeah.
I mean, from our vegetation to our safari, to all the God-given beauty, to the waters, to the beauty, to the shores, all the beauty of Africa, people come to see them. You know, unfortunately, even a lot of us don't even travel our own countries.
That's true.
So we don't even know what we have. A lot of time you will see the Europeans come in and say, have you seen that warm springs in this village? And you're like,
you have no clue.
What village? And the village is only 20 kilometers from your own village.
Yeah.
So a lot of those things happen.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, I said, the thing we need to do is, let's put together a cultural program that foster togetherness, because all these negative news has made us into being unnecessarily scared of one another.
Yeah.
So you read something about my country and you have that prejudice in your mind.
Yeah.
I read the same thing about your country.
Yeah.
I have that silent prejudice against you.
Yeah.
So in doing so, we're both opposite one another.
Yes.
You know, having the same fear for something that does not exist.
Yeah. But we have to now begin to understand that is by design.
By design.
And it is not in our interest.
It's not in our interest. So which means the first thing we need to do, we need to make friends and talk more. Understand what we both have. We all have challenges.
Yes.
We all have bad roads. You probably could get easily killed in New York or London, bad neighborhood in London, quicker than you can be killed in Nairobi.
It's true.
So if you're not careful, somebody said, do you want to go to New York? You say, I want to go to New York. You want to go to Nairobi? Oh, no, I don't want to go to Nairobi. Mm-hmm. So it's because you don't know.
Yeah.
So with that, we said, okay, one of the things we could do is create a program where we get countries to come together, to use that togetherness to remove pessimism and negativeness about one another.
Yes.
So 2017, I pulled some of my friends and I said, let's start something like this. And I said, well, we're Nigerians, so we are the 20% of the continent.
Yes.
Everybody loves to beat Nigeria in something, one thing or the other.
Yes.
So I said, well, for that reason, I've done all the corporate life. I've used PowerPoint until I'm blue in my face and I'm tired.
Yes. And
I've been to conferences, I've spoken big grammar.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, togetherness on the continent and the intra-Africa trade stays at 15% for the last 30 years.
Imagine.
So to me, it means that for you and I to trade, I need to know you first.
Yes.
I need to be comfortable with you.
Yes.
And then it's from the comfort that trade will go up. So I told my guys, I said, what we need to do, let's create a weekend whereby we pitch two countries against one another.
Yes.
Let's use Nigeria as the guinea pig for it because it's a 20% population.
Yeah.
They call them reverse introverts.
Yes.
By the way, they are like Kenyans are the Nigerians of East Africa. So you can't say anything. Okay. So put the people together, but in a soft environment.
Yes.
Let them have fun and let them become friends. We started with South Africa because those were the two major countries, but not only countries, economies on the continent.
Two big economies.
Two big economies on the continent. So we started and we said, with this program, we are going to make sure people don't look at it in a very, very serious way.
Yeah.
Because there are people that are doing the serious work.
Yeah.
But let's do it more in a building relationship way. Yeah. So we call the names of the project by nicknames.
Yes.
We don't say South Africa, Nigeria.
Yes.
We want to call it in a soft way, but we also want to make sure we focus more on the soft part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we decided to use the nicknames of the countries. Okay? And it's a weekend where people will get together, they will play. Soccer is a very big thing amongst all of us. Yeah. So they play soccer 11-11. If in that country, when we set up the team, the visiting team has only 7 or 8, the host will give the 3 candidates to play on the other side, wearing the jersey of the visitor.
Okay.
It's all about coming together.
Yes, yes.
And then we debated what's good about what can we do better and all those things.
Yeah.
So we started again, like I said, with South Africa. And we started with Mzansi, Niger.
Yeah.
Mzansi being the name of nickname of South Africa, Niger being for Nigeria.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be 1 year here, 1 year here, 1 year here, 1 year.
Yeah.
The following year, we picked up Ghana along with it.
Yeah.
And then we named that one Ashanti, Niger.
Yeah.
That was 2018.
Yeah.
2019, we did Harambee, Niger.
Oh, Kenya.
Which was Kenya and Nigeria.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, towards the end of 2019, COVID hit.
Oh.
And that kind of changed the whole thing. But we learned something from those 3 countries that we were doing against Nigeria, from the angle that whenever we invited a 3rd or a 4th citizen of another country to the program, they didn't feel included.
Oh.
So we end up getting the Niger, South Africa, Niger, Kenya, or Niger, Ghana to be excited.
Yeah.
But when you try to bring in the third country, they were not excited.
Oh.
So 2020, 2019, 2020, COVID happened.
Yes.
We were stuck in the house for 1 year.
Yeah.
But COVID taught us a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was a negative time that we lost people. But to me, what COVID also brought to me is an opportunity to take more risks.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were all supposed to have died.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, even the little medicine that we had,
Mm-hmm.
or the plants that our parents told us are good to cure diseases,
mm-hmm.
the protocols that we put in place, the world condemned all those protocols.
Yeah.
Okay? Thank God we didn't totally listen to them.
Yeah, that's the good part.
Yeah. So by not totally listening, percentage-wise, we were less affected.
Yes.
So to me, at that point, I mean, everybody's supposed to have died by COVID. Then we said, you know what? I don't think we can be going in this bilateral anymore.
Yeah.
Let's just pick the whole continent together.
Yes.
And the Pan-African movement.
Yes.
From that angle, because to me and my team at that time, the world has zeroed.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the whole world was equal.
It was a reset.
It was a reset. It was a reset button.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, okay, we need to move quickly. What can we do? And then FESTAC has been burning in my stomach since 1977.
Yeah.
A little bit about FESTAC and why it was burning.
Yeah.
If you look at why FESTAC was put together in the 60s, the whole idea was negritude, with the pride, with Pan-Africanism.
Yeah.
Right after colonialism and all the countries were getting their independence.
Yes.
The first one was done in Senegal by His Excellency Leopold Sedar Senghor.
Yes.
A month in April, an opportunity for Africans worldwide to come together and to identify who they were.
Yeah.
The second one, unfortunately, did not happen until 1977, 11 years later, because Nigeria was supposed to hold the second one, and Nigeria had a civil war in 1967.
Yes.
That lasted about 4 years.
Yes.
I didn't go to the 1966, but I was in 1977.
Yes.
77 made a huge impact on myself and everyone else that I've met.
I can imagine. I cried my eyes out because I couldn't go. And the world was moving towards Nigeria.
The world was in Nigeria. Yes. There were over 500,000 spectators throughout the festival. At a time when there was no really telephone, no cell phone, none of this, no internet, so you can imagine.
Yes.
Over 16 to 17,000 participants from about 60-something to 70 countries.
Wow.
At a time when even Africa didn't have 50 countries.
Wow.
So it was a big movement, especially on the back of Soweto 76.
Yes. Yes.
So it was an emancipation of Africa.
Yes. After Sharpeville, then Soweto, and then the world was like, hey, we have to do something.
We have to do something. Yeah. And then special thanks and great hats off to Chief Olusegun Obasanjo.
Yes.
For taking the bull by the horn at that time and saying, look, this thing needs to happen.
Yeah.
Devoted a lot of money to get it done.
Yes.
And then it was kind of a reawakening of Pan-Africanism.
Yes.
The event was so successful that it died for 45 years.
And if I may even say something.
Yes.
The FESTAC mask.
Yes.
The original FESTAC mask. There is no home I've been except this one. I don't know where my FESTAC mask went. That didn't have the big face, that FESTAC mask. But I'll start with this last FESTAC.
The one we just did. Yes. You know the interesting thing.
Yes.
When you meet anyone that remember 1977.
Yes.
And you mention FESTAC 77 to them.
Yes.
If you met the person and they were boring looking.
Yes.
You will just see their pupils just dilate so hard, they light up. You just get excited. You can see goosebumps because it meant something.
It was magical.
It was magical.
Yeah.
It was magical. So the magic that now died for 45 years was what we tried to bring back.
Yes.
After 2020, when the world hit a reset button.
Yes.
That was the whole idea behind it.
Yes.
We sat back in 2021 and said, FESTAC needs to come back. How do we bring it back?
Yes.
Okay. Number one, we reached out to African Union ECOSOC out of Nigeria.
Yes.
Got them to be on board with us on what we want to do.
Yeah.
We reached out to Chief Obasanjo,
Yes.
who looked at us and said, "You guys are crazy. You want to bring this thing back?" Yeah. Yes, Baba, we want to bring it back.
He
It needs
told
to
you,
come
young
back.
man.
Hey, young man. That's exactly that's his own word. That young man, are you sure you can do this thing? I'm like, yes, sir, we will do it. Because we believe in it and we know what it will do for Pan-Africanism longer term.
Yes.
Yes, we're in the beginning stage.
Yes.
But another 15, 20 years from now, the world would appreciate what we brought back in 2022. We now sat back and said, where should we do this festival? And then the easiest thing back then was to go to South Africa. And we said, okay, we'll do it in South Africa. But we looked around Africa, which countries were shutting down with any little spike of COVID, who was shutting down?
Yeah.
And South Africa was really shutting down.
Yes, it was.
A lot.
Yeah.
So we then said, okay, Tanzania was not shutting down very quickly, especially in Zanzibar.
Yeah.
We had 90-something% tourism, and they put a protocol in place to limit any transfer or transmission of COVID.
Yeah.
So we picked Zanzibar.
Yeah.
We approached the president of Zanzibar, Dr. Mui, who gladly welcomed us and said, okay, guys, come stage your event here. We were so lucky that we picked Zanzibar because in February, Omicron happened, if you remember.
Yes.
And then, I mean, instead of the world thanking South Africa for arresting Omicron and doing it right, South Africa was blamed for Omicron, which is very unfortunate.
Imagine.
Okay? But again, the African countries are always easier to be blamed for things. Yeah. So we went to we went to Zanzibar and we staged the first festival. But we did some things, and I explained this to Chief Obasanjo when we met him. I said, Baba, thank you for what you did. We've studied what you've done extremely well, but we felt that there are certain things we need to add to what you did. And he said, what are they? I said, number one, 1966 was in April.
Yes.
1977 was in January.
Yes.
To keep this thing going, it needs to be consistent.
Yeah.
May is Africa Month. Most Africans don't even know that May is Africa Month.
It is, yeah.
Most Africans don't know that May 25th is Africa Day.
Yeah.
So we put the focus on that last week of May.
Yes.
For that reason.
Yes.
Number two, to get all of us to like one another better, we have to travel and tour one another's villages.
Yes.
So we input travel and tourism heavily on the program.
Yes.
Number three, intra-African trade needs to go up.
Yes.
So a lot of focus on trade, that's where the exhibition came in.
Yes.
Number four, the children. Because if you ask a 45-year-old person today and say, do you know FESTAC, most of them don't know.
They don't know.
So we said intentionally we need to put children program in FESTAC so that the kids can be part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, what are the ways to bring the children in? And so maybe children and then the youth. I should say that, not only children. And we said we can bring them in through STEM education to make sure we continue to grow our brains and our children. Sports, because sports is a builder. And movies, because we know movies captures or captivates them.
Yes.
And we can lay Pan-Africanism, personal pride on it, especially where even our movie business, our industry stands today on the continent, that we are still not doing a good job of capitalizing on.
That's true.
I mean, we have the entertainment world now.
Yes.
And I'm not even sure we are woken up enough to realize that we need to just take it. Because these things are time bound and they rotate. So when God has given it to you, you're supposed to ride it. I mean, we have your Davidos, your Burna Boy, your Wizkid, basically running the world now.
Yeah.
Do we have a cohesive strategy on the continent to maximize that?
Not yet.
To groom more people behind them, to sustain that. You would go to the Nollywood. Yes, Nollywood people like Nigerian movies, but are we capitalizing on it? Are we helping them grow? Are we using them to pick up other actors within the continent and take that industry, the creative industry, in a heavy way, where it becomes a forex power onto the continent? Look at Western sports today, European League, Serie A, La Liga, US, all these Africans playing in there. What are we getting back into development? So a lot of those things are needed to happen. And we felt that the first thing to do, if we start with cultural awareness, other things will follow. And that's why we put the festival back. So 2022, we did Zanzibar. 2023, we did Arusha.
How did that go?
Thank you for the question. So when we put it together, something that you haven't done in 45 years, you can
rusty a bit.
Very rusty. You can imagine the comments. Oh, they're gonna fail. Oh, it's just the negativity of people. And I keep telling the team, it doesn't matter.
The fact that you do it is what matters.
Something that died for 45 years that we brought back. Be proud of yourself. So we did it. We ended up with about 850 people. And people will say, what festival do you do? And you have 800. And I say, a festival that died for 45 years, a festival that came right during COVID. Where's yours? Where's your own festival? So if you don't have one, don't talk. So we did the festival. We had about a little over 800 people. The following year, we were requested that, why don't we bring it to the mainland of Tanzania, so the mainland can get the best of it also? We picked Arusha because of the proximity of Arusha to the other East African countries, and the fact that it's also a cultural belt for Tanzania. And at that one,
it's also the headquarters of East African
community. EAC, exactly. So we in Arusha, we jumped to 2,700 people.
Which that's good.
Which is great. And so during that time, the governor of Kisumu, Professor Nyan Yong, sent a team to Arusha. And then that's when I actually started reading up about him and see that he's actually a Pan-Africanist and someone that likes culture, art, and all these things.
He likes it from way back.
He was even supposed to be in acting. And I've seen him on stage even singing and all that kind of stuff.
He's an artist at heart. That's why he gave birth to an artist. A mega artist.
Of course, a mega artist. Lupita. So because of that, when we were doing the selection, Kisumu scored extremely high. And that's how we ended up doing the third one in Kisumu. It was supposed to be in May, the last week of May, as we scheduled. But there was a flooding that happened during then.
Very unfortunate.
Unfortunate, people died. People were displaced, and we couldn't see ourselves celebrating at a time when people were in pain. So we then postponed until August, last week of August, which is when we did. And it was extremely successful.
It was.
That I believe we had over 8,000 people came into that one. So we are grateful.
And you know what? I think it would have been way much bigger if it took place in May, because the tempo was hot. I could feel it. It was vibrating all over the world, And then, of course, when you postpone something, it dies down a bit, and then it picked up in good time to convene in Kisumu.
We had a lot of challenges when we postponed. A lot of people were not very happy. We had to do damage control, begging people and saying, look, we cannot be celebrating in an environment where people are in pain, which is very unfortunate. We tried to mitigate a lot of the expenses on the people through the airline, through the hotel. In some cases, we were successful, in some we were not. But we're thankful that we did it. And that, so the name FESTAC is actually back. We've done it 3 years consecutively. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be the biggest platform to either grow your business in Africa or bring your business to Africa because it's a language we all speak.
Absolutely.
And it's time for Africa to take its place in the world. I'm an African. I don't like to talk about Africa as the future. Africa is not the future.
It's already here.
Africa is now.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to be future.
Yeah.
And even when you look at these Africa 2063,
yeah,
it's okay. But let's talk about what we can do now.
Yes, yes.
Then
yes.
what we lay down for today
Yes.
is what will get us to 2063.
Yes.
If I'm at my age sitting down looking at 2063 when our party won't be there to be judged.
Yes. That's true.
Then I'm not being genius about my point.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, FESTAC is something that captures the soul of any individual. You don't have to be an African to feel it, as long as you can know enough about it.
Yes.
And for you being the custodian of the revived, what do you call it? The resurrected.
Renaissance.
The resurrected Renaissance.
Yes, resurrection.
We are so proud of what you've done.
Thank you, ma'am.
And please keep it up. And we need to spread the word so more people understand what FESTAC is. As you said yourself, most people age 40, 45 don't know about the past FESTACs.
Correct.
But here we are with the FESTAC which just took place this year, and it will continue, and it will be bigger and better and permeate more into the global world where we live in.
Thank you.
So, what is the way forward?
In Africa, we said upward mobility.
Yes.
We're always going to be going up.
Yes.
First of all, I would say this. On our continent, to me, maybe as an engineer, as a businessman or whatever,
yes,
every opportunity on our continent is still in its inception.
Yes.
So we can only go up.
Yes.
The way forward is that the same thing we do, we are going to be consistent with it.
Yes.
We're going to grow year by year. I gave you 852, 2,700, now 8,000.
Yes.
The number will be a whole lot bigger the next time.
Absolutely.
What we've also picked up, I don't know, you are the last one.
Yes.
You saw the number of visitors from outside of Africa.
Yes.
We had Asia,
the Caribbeans.
Yes. We had Trinidad and Tobago, which were very grateful.
Yes.
Grateful enough to send their steel band, the national steel band.
I saw the steel band.
Yes. To come and play.
It played everywhere.
They played everywhere.
Yeah, even the stadium.
Yes. And the message they actually brought.
Yes.
By changing the date.
Yes.
August 31st was their Independence Day.
Okay.
So that's why they sent the steel band to come and represent them on the continent, which was beautiful.
Yes.
You saw the number of people that came from India.
Yes.
When we started doing the things we do, because Kisumu, there are Indians that were born here 80, 90 years ago that probably even speak Luo than Gujarati.
Yes. They're natives.
They're natives.
Yes.
So when they heard that we were coming here, they came en masse to say, we also want to be part of what is going on in Africa. Yes. That's why we had all the people from India and all the other countries, Brazil, the US, Europe. So what we see happening is that the new Africa is a world that takes in everybody. Yes,
it's a boiling pot. It's a melting pot. Yes.
We are not restricting to a certain race.
No.
Because even over the time, our races have mixed.
Yeah.
So we can't do that. It's a new Africa that we are trying to make better for ourselves and others.
Yes.
So we're going to be doing it. It's going to be in May.
Yeah.
For now, it's still going to be a week.
Yes.
We are partners with the East African community already.
Yes.
So we're working with them out of the office in Arusha on how to make it even bigger here.
Yes.
And then just look out for it.
Yes.
We are not going anywhere. FESTACAfrica.org or on all social media handles at FESTAC Africa.
You
can follow us there.
Let me ask you, May is great. That's the African month.
Yes.
What about those who would be wanting to come in the summer? Like the diaspora who, they have to work until the end of, say, May, or graduations are in May or something like that. They want to be here in the summer. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just asking.
You're punching me on that. The critical thing is that, typically, most schools finish May 31st.
Yes.
Graduation, 15 to 31st. So we're aware of that. Yeah. What you will see happen is we need May 25th.
Yes.
Because that's when we want all of us to celebrate Africanism.
Yes.
Now, what you will see eventually is we'll be going, by the time because what's happening right now, even that 1 week is getting tight. I mean, you are in that 1 week, you saw all the things we did.
Yes.
So it will be laying over into the first week of June.
Yes.
And that's actually when summer starts.
Yes.
So we don't want to lose the 25th to bring attention. Yes. But I think eventually we will move. Yes. It will probably expand into 2 weeks to pick up on people that can come in June. So that's number one. Yes. Number two, we're also planning activations around the world. Okay, before that time. Yes. For example, India requested that they even want us to come and do an activation in India.
Wow. That would be great.
Exactly. So people's interests are there. Yes. We have the Afro Turks.
Yes.
We have the Afro Germans.
Yes.
So people are getting interested and saying, please come to us. So we'll do little activations all around. Yes. And then we also partner. Yes. With other festivals, because we can't do it alone. Yes. I mean, there's a lot that we need to do on the continent to come together. Yes. FESTAC is one of them, and a leader in doing things together. Yes. There's another festival that they're planning in Nigeria now called Ipada. Ipada stands for return. Yes. And we're working with them also to say we need all of us to come back home. Yes. I mean, again, don't let anybody tell you we are overpopulated. We are not. No. We have land.
We do.
And we are only 1.2, 1.3 billion. Yes. So, so we just need to take our space in this new world and make it a better for ourselves and our children.
Absolutely. And speaking of having these activations around the world, African Americans, I'm sure they would want to again converge, because I know they were great in Abuja 77, in Nigeria Lagos 77. Lagos 77. So I am sure they would want to again also have some kind of nucleus around what they do in relation to FESTAC.
Yes, we actually have a team in the US. Yes. Representing FESTAC. Yes. Yes. So yes. A few people came this year, yes, but we've been getting a lot of calls out of the US, yes, because of the change of the date this year. Yes. So people were affected. Yes. But once we kick off in the next 2-3 weeks, yes, believe me, we're going to have a lot of people come from the US, yes, next year.
And also another thing, if I may just go back to that. What may have also been a small deterrent, of course, the FESTAC was successful, but demonstrations were also taking place. After the postponement, then there were all these demonstrations, which, of course, the Gen Zs had to express themselves. And for me, my support is with the Gen Z, and it's good it took place. So now, how did that affect?
It affected us a lot.
Because the news coverage was not good.
Oh, no. And I always tell people, yes, be careful how you watch syndicated news. Yeah. Because they take this clip of this one person that got killed, and they loop it every 2 to 5 minutes. Yes. If you watch it in 24 hours, yes, you would think that the whole continent is dead.
It's dead and everybody is on the streets.
Yes.
Dead bodies.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have to keep answering telephones. People were calling. Yeah. Are you sure this is still going to happen? Are you sure it's still going to happen? Yes. We keep telling them, yes, it's going to happen. Yes. So there was a lot of problem we had. Yes. Some people canceled their flights, some people did this and that. Yeah. But the critical thing is that anyone that is planning to do anything on this continent, if you let the distraction derail you, yes, because by the time the festival now came, yes, the Gen Z issues have died down. Yeah. Can you imagine if we had postponed or canceled again because of that? So we just have to keep going until our continent becomes what we want it to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now we may take a small break and come back. We'll ask our viewers, please subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and share widely our program. We have fantastic information we're bringing. Our guest here, Engineer Yenka, is giving us real insight of what is happening with our coming together, with our cultural custodialism, if I may say it that way. It's our big cultural custodian. And he's just one of our many guests who will be visiting And so we are asking you to subscribe. Subscribe, don't miss out. Give us a thumbs up and share widely. Thank you.